Hey guys, welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. My name is Jessica and I'm your host, and this is how I woke up. So, this is what you're getting. Welcome to the live match preview for Everton versus Arsenal. Yeah, guys, couldn't be asked. Could not be asked. I was just semi enjoying watching the football this morning, and I was like, if they can't have me at my roll out of bed, then they can't have me at my, like super best, right? So this is what I have for you guys today. So just be kind, but we're gonna preview the game, and it's an interesting one because I guess the question that I want to ask you guys is this a must-win game? And I know off of just that, it's like, well, no, it's not a must-win game because it's not a cup final. It's not the last game of the season. There's still plenty of games to go. But we're going to dive into it just a little bit deeper because usually when you talk from a sports reference, when you say a must-win game, that doesn't always mean that it's the end of the road and it's the last game that you're going to play, or it's a cup final or something. Sometimes it's about the impact of a bad result in that game and what will be the trickle down effect, or what will be the domino effect from a bad result. And that's what we're talking about today because we're in the festive period. We've started it out not on the best foot, losing against Manchester United. And this is a game that I feel like we should be looking at favorably. Everton is in pretty poor form. But somehow I don't feel very confident. And I think that kind of comes from the anxiety of maybe not knowing what Arsenal is going to show up. Is it going to be the Arsenal that I've been waiting to see for a long time, that goes through a bad loss and then comes into the next game with that fired up attitude of we're going to change this around? Or is it going to be the Arsenal that I've known for the last couple of years that will allow one loss and 3 points drop become 6 points, become 9 points? So I think that's kind of where that comes from. And I think it's perfectly fair to look at this match and say, you know what, not worried at all. We match up well against them. They're in poor form. I think it's an easy 3 points. I personally think it's a little bit different because of the previous result. And I'm hoping that that doesn't make it like a psychological barrier for them to get over. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about amongst the team news, predictions, potential lineups, get some of your questions in, all of those things. So, but before we get started, oh, there's already 40 of you guys here. Thank you so much. I don't even know what day it is. Like, honestly, if you would have told me it was Friday or Thursday, I'd probably believe you, but I believe it's Sunday. So, uh, it's nice to see so many of you guys in here on a Sunday. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's see what you guys are saying so far. Let's see what you guys are saying. Mr. Austin says, afternoon, Jess. Afternoon to you as well. Matt G, evening, Jess. Evening to you as well. Gillian says, evening, Jess. Hope you're well. Did you watch the women's final? The girls were outplayed. Yeah, I think that was really disappointing to wake up to. I can't lie. But I just felt like I think we're a lot closer to Chelsea than we showed in that match. But ultimately, if you give them the run of the park and you're not confident on the ball, they will do you very similarly to the way that Barcelona did us in the first leg of that Champions League round. And yeah, it was not a good display, and we really miss Leah Williamson. But the girls, they need to rebound because Barcelona is right around the corner, and we can't hold on to this. But it was a very disappointing display this morning from the Arsenal women. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Mr. Austin says Everton draw. I can see, sadly. Mary Chris says, happy afternoon, Jess and Gooners. Ladies, bad loss. Man United win. Lucky Spurs won. We need a win big time. This is kind of what I'm saying. I think it would be, for me, disingenuous to say that this game doesn't hold more weight because of the results that have happened today. Um, the biggest example I can use for that is the moment that United and Spurs won, Arteta out started to trend. So although that we know that there's an extreme part of the fan base that anytime we lose and anytime a rival wins and all that kind of stuff, they want Arteta out. We know that this game holds weight, and I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't. Every game is important. But games that happen after a bad loss at the beginning of an important run of games is very important to get three points, to get the psychological edge and to knock off any weird anxiety or anything from a past game, So although every game is important and we know that, we have to acknowledge how important this game is at the beginning of the festive period, especially after a bad loss against Man United. Um, CC says both Villa and Man United seem to be on the up, so I'd say this is a must-win game. Just a J says to consistently fight for European places, we need to win this game. Matt G says it's important as any other game. I think people are calling it a must win because of the message it will send if we win or lose. Exactly. And there's always psychology, like psychology does infiltrate sports a lot. So, of course, every single game is important, but a loss against a poor Everton side after losing to Man United does not bode well. It just doesn't. So I think, again, it's disingenuous to pretend as if this game is just, if we did not win it, there would not be some fallout from it. We know the fan base is going to turn, but we also know that the fan base does affect the players. We know that. We know that they look at social media. So again, I think it's important to be honest about what could potentially happen if we don't win. But if we do win, I think that that puts us in a really good position moving into some easier fixtures. I wouldn't say that they're super easy, but what I would say is that we have a chance to win every single game up until Christmas or up until New Year's when we play Man City. So there you go. Let's see. Terrence Tibbs says, when he played Abba and brought in Nketiah instead of Pepe, I knew it was time for Arteta to leave. Yeah, I don't know. I think Aubameyang needed to come out, if I'm honest. Yeah, I think Mr. Austin says, I think this game would give Abba up front one more chance. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. You guys are talking about NFL in here. This is not an American football channel, okay? No, I'm just joking. You guys can talk about whatever you want as long as you guys are nice. But yeah, let's dive in here. So we'll go with team news first. So basically, I guess I can show my screen, I guess. I haven't done that in a while. Let's share a screen. There you go. Let's see. You guys see it? Yes, you can. So, team news. Bernd Leno, right groin. He had the tight groin that he had in training ahead of Monday's match, so he's still out. Emil Smith-Rowe, right groin as well. Emil has a tight groin from Thursday's match against Man United and is being assessed ahead of the game. Kolasinac, left ankle. He won't be back until January. Not like we miss him. Granite is his right knee. He's made excellent progress in his recovery from a medial knee ligament injury sustained on September 26th. Granite is now back in full training, and his availability is being assessed ahead of Monday's match. All other players in the men's first team squad are currently fit and available for selection. So, I mean, that is very, very interesting that Granit Xhaka is ahead of schedule. And it's not that I didn't think he would be, because I think he's the bionic man. I really think this guy is his body is made of something else. Like, he's always been like fit, like always. So for him to even get injured, I feel like was a shock to the system for Arsenal. But him being back, I mean, the first time that they did an update on him, I said December 1st, he'd be back, knowing Granite. I was only like 4 days off. He's already back. There's some people that feel like he may end up starting in this match. I'm not sure if he's that far along, but he'll most likely be on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised. And the last little tweak that he had, although this is obviously a bigger injury, I think he came off the bench in the very next game that we played after his injury. So we know Arteta really relies upon Granit Xhaka. And I almost feel like Thomas Partey relies upon him as well. He has not been good since Granite has been out. So, and our possession stats have went down a lot since he's been gone. So, I do feel like the first moment that Arteta has to bring him back into the side, he comes in. It's just a matter of who he drops. I think my mind says as I'm as mad as I am at Thomas Partey, and I think he's been absolutely shocking, especially in that Man United game. I think I would want him to stay in the team, maybe one more game before we drop him. Um, because I think Aubameyang needs to be dropped, so you don't wanna drop too many senior players at once. But in terms of team news, it looks like Emile Smith Rowe is a little bit on the fringes there. We're not really sure what's going on with him and Granit Xhaka. Those are gonna be the main 2 that, people are gonna probably be talking about in conjunction with whether or not Aubameyang should be dropped and whether or not Kieran Tierney should come back in. That's another one, and Martinelli. There are a lot of big decisions actually now that I say that, that a lot of there are a lot of decisions that need to be made from Mikel Arteta's perspective, and I wonder what he's gonna end up doing. I really, really do. Because again, it's a must-win game. Like, I stand by that. This is a game that psychologically could give us an advantage or a disadvantage moving into these next couple of fixtures. Um, let's see. AK Gunner says, Jess, within the last 5 years, name me a club that gets battered in top 6 away games and still gets 4th place. This is not pre 2016 Wenger era where you can afford to drop points against the top teams. Look, the competition is so much stiffer. So I agree with you in terms of you can't really just have all these games that you can kind of give away. But what I will say is that I never thought we were in the top 4 race. I don't care how close we got to it. I never thought that we would be able to sustain because you always knew that Man United were going to sack Ollie at some point. You knew very early on that Spurs were going to move on to another manager, and there are too many good teams in and around us where I just didn't really feel like that was a real thing. It looked feasible because those teams were underperforming, not because we were so good. Does that kind of make sense? So that's not to be harsh on our team. I do think that if we're anywhere near top 4, we should really strive for it because I do feel if you aim for mid-table, you'll end if you aim for the European spots, you'll end up mid-table. But I get what you're saying, but I just don't think we're quite there. Um, does the mentality need to shift around free hits against big teams away? I think it's perfectly fine to say that it's gonna be a difficult game and we're not expected to win, but I also feel like we need to set up our teams to win, and we should expect our team to play to win. It's not that I think we go in to lose, but I do think once a goes in, it's pretty clear that we're going to go ahead and just let it all go. That's pretty much how we've been for the last 5 years or so, and that does need to change. So, I do agree slightly, but I just never really thought we were in the top 4 race. I think I've said that many times on here as well. Um, Kurumi says, Make we see we're going make we see if we're going to choke against Everton. We win tomorrow, we're back in the fight. We can't play under pressure. We choke under pressure, and I mean, the pressure was really on that Man United game. I think that was a game that we were under pressure away from home against a team that wasn't really playing that well, and I think we choked. Like I do, I think we choked. And so this is why I'm saying, like, make no mistake about it. This game is really important, and if we don't perform well and we give Everton their first win since September, we're in trouble. Like we have to keep it real, keep it 100. Like it's not. I always maintain that optimistic outlook that I love this team. I love the young players. I like the direction that we're going in. I don't think we're a top 4 team. I think we will struggle to get top 6, but it's feasible. But I still think we need to be okay with having expectations, um, even though the team is young and all of that, and keep it real that this team has a very a very weak mentality when they're under pressure, especially because the people that are the most experienced don't have great mentalities. So, and I hate to say that, but aubameyang is not somebody that you can rely upon. Bernd Leno is not somebody that you can rely upon. Granit Xhaka is not somebody you can rely upon. Nicola Pepe is not somebody you can rely upon. Thomas Partey, not somebody you can rely upon. And last but not least, Mikel Arteta. I don't think he's somebody at the moment that I can say has the type of mentality or can lead the team in a very high pressure situation. You can just refer back to Villarreal. That was a big mistake on his behalf that was very avoidable, and he choked under pressure. So our leaders are not. We can't rely upon them in high pressure situations. So we just need to keep it real that we need to win this game, or we just don't know what will happen. Yo-Yo says 2 points at Old Trafford Goodison would have been better than three because of this must win. This is a must win claim. Two points at Old Trafford and Goodison would have been better than three because of the endless. This is a must win claims. I mean, for me, it's not endless. I think about must wins from every game we should be trying to win, but must wins for me come with the games that have a high psychological impact on a team and a fan base. And that's where I'm coming from. For me, the Liverpool game was not a must win. The Man United game was not a must win. I thought we needed to get at least a point, but it wasn't a must win. But the manner in which we lost that game is going to have a psychological effect on the team. So, or at least it feels like it's going to. I mean, let's be real. Has it not been heavy in here since that game? So I don't know. Let's just, yeah, but we can move on. So that's pretty much what's going on. Um, I saw that I think it was Orbinho. I'll just look it up really quick. So we know that Everton hasn't won. They haven't won a game since September, but we know that we're good for giving people their first win after a long time and stuff like that. Orbinho says Arsenal have lost three and won just one of the last five Premier League meetings with Everton. They did the double over us last season and they weren't any good. They haven't been good for a long time. So it's not whether or not this is a good team or anything. This is a bad team that's in even worse form than they were last season when they beat us twice. So this is potentially a bogey team, but at the same time, we should be beating them in this bad form. And if we don't come out and set the record straight early, I think we could be in trouble. So they're not very good. They're missing key players. I know they're missing Calvert-Lewin and they're also missing Davies that plays center midfield for them. They're not a great side. They're bleeding goals, but again, like we can't beat ourselves because we're not on it, so there's definitely that. So now let's go into the potential starting lineup. I think that's probably what you guys want to do now. I'll just pull up the create formation thing. Yeah, you guys, I can't wait for this game to be over because I'm just hoping that we win it and we can move on because we're already in seventh. Like at this point, we really can't be going into this festive period without a win. At least I don't think we can. Let me just mess around with this really quick. Does anybody feel confident? That's what I kind of want to ask that. Do any of you guys feel really confident that we're going to win this game? Okay. Make sure you guys can see it. All right. So let's see. Everybody feel confident? Everybody feel confident? Everybody feel confident? No. 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 Yeah. So there we go. Smith Rowe is a doubt. Yes, he is. Football Terrace. Every week, these toxic gooners move the post goals and attack realistic Arsenal supporters for having solid expectations. It's coming from an outside perspective. Um, let's see. I'm reading, looking forward to see how you set up our front four. Never feel confident under Arteta. Yeah, a lot of people don't feel confident. I think that says um I think that says a lot that we don't feel confident going into this game. If you truly believe that this game was not must win, then I feel like you would feel confident, because I think most people that are not confident know that there's some sort of psychological aspect of this that could go against us, because we're Arsenal fans. We know our team. We know that we don't do well under pressure. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with being realistic about that. Um, so that's it. You know, that's it. But let's go ahead and get started on this. Um, so no Leno, not like he would play anywhere. Makes it anyway, it makes it very easy to put Ramsdale in goal. Um, no real drama there. I figure all of this is gonna look pretty much the same in terms of Tomiyasu, Ben White, who needs to clear the ball out a little bit further next time. Than he did the other day. Gabriel, still our monster. Probably he probably is our captain at the moment, if we're honest. He does lead. Um, he's kind of taken over that David Luiz role in a way, without the calamity attached to him. We just lack leadership so much, and it's really a shame. But I really think the closest things that we have to a captain are probably Ramsdale, Gabriel, and Kieran Tierney when he's fit. Um, it's just a shame, isn't it? So left back, I think Nuno Tavares has been really good, and he's shocked a lot of people in terms of how close he actually is to starting. I think when we first got him, it was kind of like he's gonna play cup matches and kind of be on the fringes, and hopefully Kieran Tierney is fit more than not. But Kieran got injured right away, and Tavares came in and made his mark. And I think um, he's done a really good job, but I think he left the door open against Man United. And personally, I feel that after the Newcastle game, there was an opportunity for Arteta to, if he was going to go with a team that was more experienced, which is not really sure what he was doing with the whole El Neni thing, but I think if he wanted to give some more stability to that team away from home, he would have went with Kieran Tierney. And I think that that was the opportunity to bring him back in, was against Man United, but he chose not to and stuck with Tavares. Again, Nuno, very good, but sometimes you just need to put your foot on the ball and allow us to get some possession. And the thing that we like about him is also the thing that hurts us, which is he wants to always go forward, and he doesn't know when to pick and choose his times to go into the attack. So I think the second goal that Man United scored was, you could have it the root of it was him anticipating really well, and instead of trapping it and putting his foot on top of the ball and circulating possession, he tried to go on the attack, tried to pass the ball right out of the air to Emil Smith Rowe, who was dead on his feet at that moment and was on his heels, and they picked it off and they went and scored from his side. It's time to bring Kieran Tierney back in. I don't know if Arteta wants to go this far into pushing him out to the fringes of the team. It's I get that Nuno has done well, but you also I don't think Nuno has done so well that we can't see Kieran Tierney coming back in. I think it's unfortunate that Kieran did not play with the team that has started playing well, but I also think he played against the more difficult opposition, and I think it's unfair. Like, I know that we want competition for places. I believe that. I think in Arteta's mind, maybe it's Nuno's shirt to lose, but Kieran Tierney offers us some stability and some restraint where we might need it in this game, because again, it's a really important game. So I think I would bring Kieran Tierney back in. I would like to see him come back into the team at some point. I mean, we don't want to shoot his confidence down so bad. Like, I don't know. I think man management. was good in terms of after Nuno Tavares and Sambi made the big mistakes in the Liverpool game, letting them play against Newcastle. But it was just weird. He chose to drop Sambi but keep Nuno when I think it should have been keep Sambi and drop Nuno. It was really strange, but Kieran Tierney, I think, comes back into the side. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see what you guys are saying. Terrence says 1-0 Everton DCL. DCL is injured, my guy. Graham Brooks says Tavares emptied his space. Exactly. Sometimes you just need to put your foot on the ball. And I feel that is the good thing about him that I think people were missing from Kieran, because Kieran was being so conservative when he was playing, and we were like, we just want somebody to go forward. But it's almost like you need a little bit of restraint in big games, and I don't think Tavares really had that, even though he does play well. I'm not trying to shoot him down. Tavares must know when to go and when not to go. Sometimes just stay home. Exactly. There's no shade on him. Sometimes I feel bad about criticizing him at all because he has overperformed, in my opinion. Mr. Austin says, let's be honest, playing Nuno or Tierney, Arteta was never going to win everyone's hearts with choosing. No, it's not about winning hearts. It's about choosing the right person for the right games, and that's all we ask, and I don't really think that Nuno was the best option for the Man United game because he does not have restraint where where Kieran Tierney does, and so it's not about winning hearts. It's about making the right decisions. You know what I mean? Um, Benjamin says, come on, Jess, our biggest mistake is to start Tavares against Liverpool and United. He cost us both games. Trust me, very inexperienced. Yeah, no, I mean, was it our biggest mistakes though? It was Tavares the reason why the first goal was scored, or why Odegaard went back there and gave away that penalty? No, I think he was more culpable in the Liverpool game. Did he make a mistake against Man United? Yes, but the team played so poorly. And I really think that game was won and lost in the midfield, if I'm honest with you. So, I get what you're saying, but I don't think he was the biggest issue in that Man United game either. Let's see. CC says a draw or win for Arsenal. Everton are finding it very difficult to score. Yeah, so exactly. So that's my back line. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I'm sure we're talking about Kieran Tierney versus Nuno Tavares. Make sure you guys are liking that video, subscribing to that channel, and it's getting even more interesting up here because now we're looking at the midfield. Now, Sambi was very unlucky to be dropped against Man United, I think. And I thought that bringing in El Neni was so that Thomas Partey could have more license to be more influential going forward. Now, what I've noticed over the last couple of games, especially against teams that have gotten something against us, is they're sitting on Thomas Partey and allowing the other weaker midfielder to have more of the touches on the ball. So what's happening is, especially against United, is United said, well, we'll just sit on Thomas Partey. We'll make it difficult for him to get the ball, but we'll let that El Neni guy have the ball. He had over 70 touches in the game against United, so he was dictating all of our play. El Neni is not the person you want having the most touches on the ball. So I feel like this idea of El Neni sitting and Thomas Partey going forward only really worked until people realized how bad El Neni was on the ball and said, well, we'll just deny Thomas Partey any access, because we don't have the type of outlets that can really hurt you. All of our buildup goes through one of our midfielders. Sometimes both, but we have had that double buildup going on that we had with Granit Xhaka and with Thomas Partey. Sometimes we have one release valve and one person that's being shut down completely. And if they're smart and they play two forwards, both of our release valves are shut down. Everton, I'm not sure if they're going to play with two strikers. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but what I do know is that they're going to sit on top of our best progressive midfielder in that deep pivot. So it has to be Sambi, because if they sit on Thomas Partey, at least Sambi has enough progression in him and enough passing ability where we won't get completely shut down, and he can potentially find the creative midfielders. Nenny can never play again for Arsenal. Let's keep it 100. Um, but I don't think xhaka is going to be ready to start in this game. And again, because it's a must-win game, and I don't think there was anything particularly wrong with Sambi and Thomas Partey playing together um, in the game prior to. That's what I would revert back to. I think we have to start building partnerships and not being afraid to just let them ride it out. Going to Elneny, Thomas Partey not only ripped apart a partnership, but it weakened our midfield, in my opinion. So it just didn't work out the way that I think it was envisioned. So I'm actually going to go with Thomas Partey and Sambi. Now, Thomas Partey has one more really bad performance before he needs to sit on the bench. I'm not saying that because I'm including him here that I don't think that he was atrocious against Manchester United. He needs to shape up. I don't care how much they sit on you. If they sit on you to a point where you're having a hard time, you know, dictating play, when you do get the ball, you still should be able to pass a 5-yard ball, and I just feel like he's being so lackadaisical and letting us down. And he's one of those senior players that have really underwhelmed the season. So he has one more chance before I'm like, drop him. Because against Southampton, if Thomas Partey doesn't play well against Everton, he needs to be dropped. And then xhaka can come in and play next to Sambi in the next game. That's how I feel. He has one more game to do that again. That was horrible. Um, I'm just putting him on whatever side. I know he usually plays on the right and Sambi plays on the left, but I can't be asked to um I can't be asked to move them. Sorry. I can not I will. I will for you guys. Graham Brooks says, Sambi has made more passes per 90 than Partey this season. Has to come back in. Exactly. He does come straight back in. And again, unlucky to not be in that game. We really missed, again, like Daniel saying, his progressive passing. And if they're going to sit on Thomas, which I still feel like there's an element of him that needs to impose himself on into a game at the right moments and still show feet and show for the ball, regardless if the other team is trying to shut him down, because he does have the skill set to get away from pressure. But even if he's being safe, the 5-yard passes need to make it to the next person. And then when they are unable to shut down Sambi has enough about him to get the ball to the creative midfielder. I think that Odegaard suffered massively from Thomas Partey not being able to get on that ball. And when he did, he was so poor. It took until we gave up that second goal for Thomas Partey to start getting on the ball and dictating play. And by then it was too late. Odegaard literally started touching the ball more as soon as Thomas Partey woke up. The best game that our midfield has played under Arteta, in my opinion, was it was the second half against West Ham, where Thomas Partey was getting the ball, making a decision quick, turning, boom, in between the lines to Odegaard's feet. And we haven't played like that since then. Thomas Partey not only has to impose himself onto the game a little bit more, but he needs to be more responsible on the ball. And Arteta needs to have enough balls to have two midfielders in there that can progress the ball. He can never play Elneny again, ever. And it's another reason why I think, although people want to see Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Thomas Partey, I don't think you ever will, because Ainsley is more of again, not against higher level opposition, because I don't think he has a good enough passing range, or he's not progressive enough, so it has to be Sambi and Thomas. Graham says, can Thomas play 2 games in 4 days? I mean, he didn't really play the last game, did he? I mean, let's be real. Like, he didn't really do much. I mean, I think with Thomas, the reason why you have to play him through these patches of maybe him not being 100% fit is because he needs to build that fitness back up. He's one of those that has really bad aerobic fitness. So if you sit him now, he'll never gain that fitness back. And some of it, I think, is obviously him just not playing well, but I still think he's suffering a little bit from that injury. So I kind of feel like you have to play him into fitness. And it just is what it is. I mean, this team was playing more than one game a week last season. Suck it up. For the Christmas period, you will be doing the same. And our best players, have to step up, and quite frankly, I don't think he broke a sweat against Man United, so he needs to play again tomorrow. Um, Yo-Yo says, "We're setting up Xhaka to fail like Lauren K after his injury." How? Well, I don't have him in my team. I don't think he needs to play tomorrow. I think he can come back against Southampton if he's 100% fit and ready to go if Thomas Partey plays shite again, That's what I think. Leonide says, "Okay, we'll get to the front, but Martinelli will play left wing, Saka right wing, Odegaard in the cam, ESR on the bench, coming in as a sub." So there's about 112 of you guys watching. Make sure you guys are liking that video, subscribing to the channel, doing all those things. Not sure where this accent is coming from. Don't get it. Don't mind me, you guys. Okay, so let's get into it. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, especially because I feel like I'm just spoiler alert, Aubameyang's dropped. I think Martin Odegaard, like Sambi and like Nuno, deserves an opportunity to make up for their mistake. He went from hero to zero very quickly in that game against United. Again, I think he suffered a lot from Thomas Partey not being able to get on the ball. And with two progressive midfielders in our pivot and Everton's very weak midfield, I would expect him to get more play. What I will say about Odegaard is I do feel like he needs more personality. This is somebody who's the captain of Norway. He's supposed to be this technically gifted central midfielder, creative midfielder. He needs to force himself onto the ball sometimes. And I know that Arteta doesn't really want our players to go fishing for it. But sometimes I do think that he allows himself to be on the periphery of the game, but it also has something to do with our pivot not being available as well. So I think this is a game that Odegaard needs to have. He deserves just as much an opportunity as Sambi and Nuno did to correct their mistakes. And because ESR is not going to be fit, I do think it's fine to bring him back in or bring Odegaard back in. I also think Odegaard is more of the future of this team. Now, whether you think that he's going to be a big part or a small part, I think generally you're paying 30 million for a player like this. You brought him in on loan and then you bought him. Um, he's somewhat of a part of our future. And so I would prefer to see him in his right position than watching Lacazette struggle in the number 10 role. I understand why we did it, but I don't think we need to do it anymore. I think we need to focus in on Odegaard. And so I'd play him in the 10. I think Bukayo Saka comes in on the right. He was not great against Man United, but I didn't expect him to be because I don't think he was fit. Hopefully he has a better showing against Everton if he does play. Left wing, if this guy doesn't play, the fan base is going to riot. Arteta, you better play Martinelli. You better play Martinelli. I don't think there's a reason not to. I don't think there's a way you can get around it. The only way I can see him getting around it is if I don't know, if he galaxy brains this game and puts Aubameyang off on the left and Lacazette up top, but I don't really see how that helps us. Martinelli was exactly what we needed in that game against Man United. And what I noticed about him that I don't see our other players doing enough is pressing to actually win the ball, not just because you're being told to or because this is the position I need to be in. It's that extra effort to try to get the ball. And we just don't have enough chaos. We don't have enough disruption in our team. We have a lot of nice guys that want to do a lot of nice things and do some nice passes, but we don't have enough people that just say, F it, I don't care who you are. He played like an Arsenal player should play away from home at Old Trafford. He wasn't sorry that he was a good player. He wasn't sorry, Tellez, I stepped on your foot. He didn't give a crap, and we need some of that. We have a lot of nice guys, but not enough bastards. So I think Martinelli has to come in. He earned the shirt. I don't think you can say that he didn't. He earned the shirt against Man United. Also, when we played against Newcastle. So he comes in and I think he scores a goal against Everton if you let him cook, you know? And then up top, I'm bringing in Lacazette. I think the best football that we played last season was when Lacazette played through the middle and we had the younger players buzzing around him and he was a focal point that we could play off of. And that's personally how the best football that I thought that we played. I think Aubameyang does not suit that role, and that's no shade to him. It's just not his skill set. His game was never press and work for the team, come deep, collect the ball, build up. That was never his game. And although Arteta's trying to get him to be better at it, it just does not suit him. It suits Lacazette a lot better. And because Aubameyang has been putting in some poor performances, you can get away from you can get away with dropping him right now for the Everton game without it becoming this big thing. It will become a big thing. It'll be a talking point. But the reality is we need to win the game. And I think the best opportunity that we have to win the game does not exist with Aubameyang in the lineup tomorrow. So that's what I would do. I know Lacazette's not going to give you goals, but Martinelli will. Odegaard is starting to show a little bit of his ability maybe to score goals. So it's a risk, but I don't think it's any more risky than having Aubameyang up there. I really, really don't. I got to be real. Um, let's see. Uh, Comments are going so fast. Leonide says Martinelli looked brand new lately. Great play, and don't neutralize him. Let him do what he does best. I think we have too many nice boys. I think we have too many nice boys. I really think we need somebody out there that's a little bit more disruptive, that's going to run fast, like not run fast, but like actually press people, is going to buzz around and do a lot of the things that our players just don't do. I think it's fine to have somebody a little bit less polished up there. Um, Graham Brooks says he would bring Lacazette or play Lacazette and bring Aubameyang off the bench. I think that that's what we should do. Juan Marin says Pepe for Lacazette, Martinelli for play. I don't think Pepe is in the thought process right now. I don't. I think maybe you want to try to play him against Southampton, but again, this is a must-win game. It's really important, and I think bringing in somebody like Pepe at the moment might disrupt things just a little bit. He hasn't played in a while. He hasn't played a full 90 since Crystal Palace. So, I don't think this is the right game to bring in Pepe. We need everybody that's out there needs to have the right mentality, and I'm not sure I'd bring in Pepe right now. Let's just be real. Graham Brooks says, "Where are your goals coming from in your team?" Coming from hope. Coming from hope. At this point, you could put in Pepe, but is Pepe really a better goal threat at the moment than Bukayo Saka? I'm not sure. ESR is not really he's somebody that I feel like needs rest, so a lot of that is banking on Martinelli. But we played a game against, and I know it's really low level opposition, but we played against Sheffield and we had Lacazette up top, Martinelli off of the left, Bukayo Saka in the 10 role, and I think ESR somewhere in there, something like that. And I thought it worked good for the balance. No combination of our front four has a lot of goals in it. Not the way that we play. The way that we play is not conducive to that group of four players getting a lot of goals unless those players become a lot better. So I think no matter what combination you put out there, you're going to be lacking something. I could put a Aubameyang up top and say that that's more goals for you, but you don't have your focal point. You don't have that buildup, and he's in poor form. So the only other person you could bring in is Pepe, but I'm not sure that Pepe, after being out since Crystal Palace, necessarily gives you more goals than Bukayo Saka. So I would prefer to bring him in a game where there's not so much at stake, to be honest. But I hear what you're saying, that there's not a lot of goals in this front four, but there's not a lot of goals in any of our front four because they're either out of form or they don't have goals in them. Usopp's Rubber Band says, I know fans push for Abba up top, but Abba has always scored more goals for the left, whether it be left wing or left side of two strikers. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. He does play better off of the left. I think The reason why it doesn't work now is because our left winger plays like a number 10. Now that might seem backwards because I have Martinelli there, but I think over the last year or so, we've seen him be less successful off of the left because he's still really involved in build-up off of the left, and that's not what you want from him. You want him to touch the ball as little as possible. So, I think that's a little bit of why that is the way that it is. Let's see. Um Yo-Yo says Everton are desperate. There'll be space for attackers to run into. Martinelli runs into space very well. I don't think we play enough to our strengths enough. I would prefer us to use our speed while we have it. I think that's one criticism if I did have for Arteta, and I was saying this in one of the group chats that I'm in, is that all of our best attackers are best in space and running into space, but because Arteta has decided that he wants to play this different style that's more positional play and build up and all of that, and less on the counter, most of our attackers are suffering for that. Martinelli is one, Pepe is one, Aubameyang's the other. And there is a way that all of them could kind of play together. At least two of them could play with each other at a time. But at the moment, because of the way that we play, you have to have Saka and ESR in there to progress the ball and to help us in build up. And so that's one thing I would say is that there is a way that we could be more dangerous if we would play differently, but we just don't play that way. I mean, sometimes we pass so unnecessarily, little 2 yard, 3 yard, 2 yard passes. And it's kind of like just kick it over the top and let them run into space. Um, ESR has 5 goals and Aubameyang has 4, but again, Aubameyang's out of form and he needs to be dropped, and ESR is not fully fit. That's, for me, I think ESR was so tired against United that he was almost useless, so of course, if ESR was fully fit, I'd put him in this team because we need more goals. But I don't think he should play because if he's not 100% fit, why we risk him? A player that we desperately need, and again, Aubameyang has to be dropped. He just has to be. Um, so that's what I'm saying. Like some of these options are more based on people just needing to be dropped, and then um, the fact that like we're dead up top no matter what we do at this point. I know Eddie and Nketiah better not start tomorrow. I know that. If he starts Eddie and Nketiah tomorrow, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, you guys, what do you guys think? Would you guys do something different? I know some people are still maybe a little bit reluctant to take a bombing out of the team, but I think he's just nothing's working for him at the moment. And sometimes when nothing is working for you, it's time just to bring you out and let you sit for a little bit, and I think this lineup is more than good enough to beat Everton in the form that they're in. Does it lack goals? Of course, but the way that we play, our front four is always going to lack goals because we just don't play to their strengths. If we wanted to play to their strengths, we would kick it into the channels and behind and play on the counterattack. Eddie says, I might try Pepe as a striker at this point. Tinkering at the moment seems so risky, but I get what you're saying. A lot of people have been calling for Pepe up top, but one thing that Arteta wants from his person that plays at the tippy top of the front four is technical security. And Pepe doesn't offer you that. He doesn't offer you very much technical security. So I feel like that's why he'll never play striker, even though he can. Again, we would just have to play different. Yo-Yo says, I fear for Saka's fitness. Yeah, I mean, I think if he starts, he's not fully, I don't think he'll be, how do I explain? I'm not sure if he's fully fit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he didn't play well against United. I think mostly because he had been out of the team or he had gotten injured against Newcastle and probably and hadn't trained. But we haven't seen him like really at the top of his game in a while since before the Euros. So I do fear that we're playing him too much. It's just a shame that I don't trust Pepe at all. Like if I thought that Pepe would come in, like honestly, like, if you looked at this, if Pepe was in better form, or if I trusted Pepe more, easily, this is a way more, balanced and more dangerous on paper lineup. you know, um, because you would have your 2 goal scorers on either side, and then you have 2 number 10 facilitator build-up players in behind, with 2 good ball progressing midfielders behind Odegaard. But I just don't trust Pepe enough, and I don't think Arteta does either. But equally, if Pepe played like he did against he had a really good game against Leicester last season when we were playing 2 games a week, and we had played kind of our best lineup against whoever we were playing in the Europa League, and then we had to play Leicester right after, and we played them away from home, and we played it was Odegaard, Pepe, Lacazette, and Willian on the left-hand side, and we battered them. If I felt like I would get that Pepe, who had to like Luke Thomas had to come off at halftime because of how badly he was being run into the ground, that's what I would play and let Saka and ESR rest. But I don't trust him enough. I just don't trust him enough. So it's one of those where ideally this is what you would want to be able to do, but I just don't think he's there. And yeah, so we'll see. But this would be an ideal lineup for a game where we're playing against some weaker opposition. We need to rotate some of our better players, and we could trust some of our rotational players to do a job, but we can't trust him. So we just have to move on from it. Tony says you need at least one of Saka or ESR. Yeah, I mean, I think I think we need them more because we don't have another creative person in there, but that's why Odegaard really should be able to handle that for the most part with Lacazette. I don't think you necessarily need them as much if we trusted Odegaard to do a little bit more. I think I hear what you're saying, but ideally this should be enough. Because we played this before. I've seen this, only it was Willian on the left and instead of Martinelli. So I think I don't know. I don't know, you guys. This is not what I would go with. I would go with Saka on the right, but equally, this could be good enough if we trusted Pepe. So let's go for predictions. All right. There's 140 of you guys here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Yay. So, yeah, you guys, I'm so nervous. Like, I don't feel confident at all, but let's do score predictions. What do you guys think is going to happen in this game? How do you think it's going to go? Everton, again, battered and bruised and down in the dumps. Rafa hasn't been as good as people thought he was going to be. Newsflash, I said that at the beginning of the season. Everton, what they're doing, bringing in these big name managers, trying to cut corners, is not going to work. And they've spent so much money. It's really weird. But, what do we think is actually going to happen in this game? How do we think it's going to go? I think Everton are struggling to score goals, which isn't surprising because they don't have their main striker. They don't have a lot of creativity in their team. I remember when they brought in James Rodriguez, laugh out loud. Everything was different, and they were getting service into Calvert-Lewin. The moment that guy got injured, that was it. And they have not addressed the creativity issue. They do have the guy that was at Leicester and then ended up going to Leverkusen. What's his name? That plays off of the left-hand side. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's pretty fast and pretty tricky. And Townsend always has a screamer in him. But I still think we should be able to corral them. Tomiyasu should be able to handle that guy that plays off of the left. I forget what his name is. And then their midfield is weak. It's weak. Alon, Decore, Damari Gray. Alon, Decore, for me, are not a top midfield combination. I think they've flattered to deceive. And I would expect Thomas Partey to step up tomorrow and show. I mean, he allowed Fred to show him up. Fred. Don't let Decore do that to you. Don't let Decore do that to you. So I would imagine, Are they gonna be cautious? Are they gonna come at us? I'm not sure. I don't even know how they play because they're just so mismatched right now. But I think we're gonna start off slow. I think we're gonna be nervous. I think we are going to be shaky and grow into it like we always do. Hopefully by then we won't be down a goal or so. But oh, I will be. I forgot. Do not let Iwobi score a goal. Do not let him score a goal. Um, but yeah, I think the game is usually won and lost in the midfield. I usually rate our midfield against most opposition, but if Thomas Partey drops another clanger like he did against United, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. But I would imagine that Alon and Decore, they're very physical and they're going to foul us a lot. We cannot be lackadaisical on the ball. If we do that thing where we're waiting and trying to see who we're going to pass to and we're not definitive with what we're trying to do, we will get picked off and we will be in trouble. But if we're decisive, we know what we're doing, the next pass is readily there, our game plan is secure, we can pass through them like a knife through butter. Like they're really not that good. And I think their defense is pretty big and slow, so I think we'll be shaky at the beginning, but I think we'll grow into it. It just hopefully we don't um, let in a couple of goals in the midst of that. Um, I don't know who the referee is. Um, Mary Chris has said Fred has played great last two and takes so much slack. No, I think Fred is like the thing is I don't think Fred is a bad player, but I also don't think he's amazing. I do think that he played much better than Thomas Partey did, and he was a lot braver. He just was much better than Thomas Partey. But do I think Thomas Partey can do something similar for us? Yes, but he has to actually want it and play hard and play with heart. And he's hiding, and it's pathetic. And he needs to get it together. Seriously. Um, Ishak says it's a must win for me because Spurs are above you with a game in hand for Spurs. Um, Arsenal need to send Benitez packing. We have no choice. The 3 points is a must. Um, Tony says our backline gets back to their clean sheets 2-0. Yeah, that's another thing is that a lot of people are looking at our defense now and saying, is it really that good? Because when you guys played against anybody decent, you guys give up a shit ton of goals. What I will say is that defense is more than just the back four / back five. It's team. Your team is defensive. Like your team it's a unit. And the weaker our midfield is, and the the games in which our midfield just decides not to be present in the game are the games that we give up the most goals. So that's how I view it. I think when our midfield is weaker, we give up more goals. And I just think the defensive line suffers when our midfield doesn't play. Like it just does. So for me, I think I am very confident on our back five / back four. But when I'm not confident is when, quite frankly, Thomas Partey decides not to play. When he has a bad game, we tend to give up a lot more goals, and he was walking for two of them goals that Man United scored. And we often look at the defense, but you have to look at what's in front of them, and they're not protecting the back line enough for me. Let's see. Tony says, agreed, midfield collapse equals goals against. Exactly. It's a team thing. And the teams that have the best, it's not just about the back line. We have improved them, and they should not have gotten battered the way that they did against Liverpool or given up 3 goals against um, Man United. But if you look at the common denominator there was not that they had these horrible defensive displays. It was our midfield was nowhere to be found. They need to stand up. They need to be counted. Like they just have to. And I think also you bring Tierney back in, you just have a little bit more stability. And I know that people are, well, we're not going to have as much attack. It is what it is. Like it is what it is. Our attacking players have got to start putting the ball in the back of the net. I know that Nuno gives you a little bit more of that going forward, but they need to start putting that ball in the back of the net. Oh, this is so funny. I was thinking about this the other day. Arteta and Adu were successful midfielders at Arsenal. Why? I've never seen this. Like the fact that our midfield is still our biggest issue, and the two people running the club were great midfielders in their own right, is actually stupid. No. Lionide says Everton will compensate loss of form and hard work and tackles. Exactly. They're gonna be Everton are very rough. They love a bad tackle. They're not very good, but they're going to be rough. And I'm telling you, Decore and Alon are going to be they're gonna know like his Thomas Partey and Sambi will outplay them, but they will knock them to the ground, and that's why I'm saying when they receive the ball off of the back line or when they receive the ball off of the center backs and the goalkeeper, they need to know where their next pass is. They cannot ponder on the ball because 'cause they're gonna take it from you, you know? So, similar to Crystal Palace where they were really, really rough, especially in the midfield to compensate for the fact that they are not very good footballers, except for Conor Gallagher, he's good, but the rest of them are just kind of like bruisers. Thomas Partey and Sambi need to make sure that they are ready to fight a little bit. Do you hear what I'm saying? We need to start dribbling out. Juan Marin says Arsenal FC for 3 points or more. I'm glad I'm not alone because I was feeling all alone that people didn't feel like this was a game that could be really pivotal for our season. Like I was told this game was no more important than any other game. Newsflash, it is. I said Conor McGregor. I meant Conor Gallagher. um, Mary Chris says, yeah, January window, a good CM like Kessie. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about the transfer window. You guys, the transfer window is still a whole month away. We have a whole bunch of games from now until January 1st to that we need to be able to win in the meantime. So I can't even well, starting tomorrow, we will start talking transfer rumors, but um until then, not tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll start talking transfer rumors, but at the moment, we have to deal with what we got. Um, so what happened to my headphones? Um, I didn't charge them because I'm one of those type of people that like the charger could be like literally there and I won't charge something. Like I'm one of those, so they're not charged and I'm feeling dumb now. I'll have them for tomorrow. I'll have them for tomorrow. You guys want to do like for the next like 10 minutes, you guys want to do some Q&A or are you guys ready to go or what do you guys want to do? Because I have a couple more minutes. And I'm not quite I'm feeling like I could talk a little bit longer. Oh, let me move my leg. You guys want to drop some questions before you go? That'd be great. Or I'll just leave. No big deal. No big deal. Rami says, if we do get a player in Jan, do you think it will be early in Jan or deadline day? I think it'll be deadline day. Oh my gosh, Mr. Austin, what do you mean? Of course I feel okay. Of course I feel okay. I'm just being me. Like I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, if we get somebody in January, I think it'll be on deadline day. We're not very quick movers. I think we probably are trying to um we are probably trying to get things organized and ready to go for January, but we tend to take a long time to get things done. The sooner the better, which would be great. But I do think that I think we'll get something, but I don't think it's going to be what we think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a midfielder. Sadly, I think it's going to be something like that Kuleveski guy on loan, just an additional attacker. I just because we have a plan for this upcoming summer, and I just don't think that Adu and Arteta are going to move things forward. I just don't because they're also I don't feel like they're under much pressure. I think that's a bigger conversation to have, but I don't think they're under much pressure from the Cronkies to make sure that they get into a certain position this season. I think they have convinced themselves that it's this longer term project and what it'll be. And so, when you don't feel that pressure, you're probably just going to say, well, we can wait until the summer to get a striker and a midfielder, even though we know those two positions would really help us in the short term. So I can imagine some loan for some guy like Kuleveski, and that'll be it, you know, if I'm honest. Um, I saw something. Um, where am I with Balogun? I'm kind of where I was like at the beginning of the season. Never thought he was ready. Never thought he was ready. And I think we need to prioritize either one of Martinelli or Balogun in terms of that young striker that we're going to be paying attention to. So I think he would really benefit from a loan, and I feel like he'll go on one in January. There's not going to be any shortage of attention or offers for Florian Balogun. He's aged out of the under 23s. He's just not really getting anything from being there, but he's also not ready to play for Arsenal right now. And again, Martinelli deserves to have that one spot for a younger striker. So for me, I think he just needs to go on a loan and then we'll see what happens. I think he's somebody that if he gets a loan, he's gonna be I think he's gonna be really, really good. He needs to be knocked around a little bit though, and play adult football, but no rush to get him in the team. Don't really think that there's any rush to have more than one under 21 striker in our ranks. I think you want to have a Martinelli, a prime age striker, and an older guy just kind of there for backup, like aubameyang, and that's what I'd like to see. But that doesn't really include Balogun, so alone. But I do like that we got him on a new contract. He seems okay with the process. He's not like dying to get sold. He just needs playing time. So that's kind of where I sit. Um, Do I still want Madison at Arsenal? No, not anymore. But I do want to say that I feel like I felt a lot of like, see, Madison is so bad, like at the beginning of the season because he was out of form. That is not a bad player. Madison is not a bad player. I still think he would have helped us. I think he has more goals in him than Odegaard. We believe Odegaard has a higher ceiling than him, but I I don't know. All I'm saying is that I did want Madison over the summer. I still think that we need a marquee center midfield signing, somebody that can score goals and get assists that costs some good money. Not that money equals quality, but what I'm saying is that we need a marquee guy, and I think whoever that's going to be is going to cost a lot. But I like Odegaard. I want to give him like time to like really get cooking and stuff like that and see where he gets to. But I did want Madison over the summer and I still think that that was a good play. I know that 60 million is a lot, but you're going to overpay for any English player that you go after, just like we will if we go for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's never really scored over 15 goals a season. We will end up having to pay 60 to 70 million for him. Um, we probably overpaid for Ben White, even though I love him and I think he was generally worth the 50 million, but like that's a lot. So I think in general you pay more for English players. But it was just funny seeing how people thought that he was terrible. But I mean, he's scoring goals now and he's looking like he's back in form. So it wasn't so much that he was a bad player. It was just so much that I don't think we could have gotten him and also gotten Ramsdale and Tomiyasu, which ultimately was the better move if we were going to be penny pinching. You know what I mean? So there you go. Yo-Yo says, should there be any concerns about the dressing room seeing players with one foot out the door featuring in the United game? I don't know. I mean, I think would I be surprised if people weren't like, what the hell? Especially because locker room, dressing room dynamics are interesting because there's people are friends and there tend to be cliques. And I still feel like we have somewhat of a clique between like Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe. And, you know, Pepe is sitting there on the bench and Nketiah is coming in the game, and that's not great, but also Lacazette is their friend, so why would he be playing? So I think there might be some issues there, but I don't think it'll I don't think it'll fester the way it did when there was other people in the dressing room. I think this group, even though there might be some cliques and some people that are less happier than others, I don't think it'll get to the point where it's so toxic that we'll pretty much see it on the pitch like we did in the last couple of years. But I wouldn't be surprised if people weren't like, why is he playing? He hasn't signed a new deal. But you have to feel that way about everybody. I don't think anybody has an issue with Lacazette playing. So and Ketia shouldn't be any different. El Neni is a strange one. I don't know why he ever I don't know. I don't know why he played. Here's another question. Why do we struggle to score from open play away from home? Mm. Ooh, I think we're a little bit of a Goldilocks type team. Like, I think we're kind of like most teams are better at home, but I think we're way better at home because we're comfortable there. There's nobody screaming at us and telling us to F off and all this kind of stuff. I think we kind of like that. And then I think if I'm not mistaken, I think we've played better opposition away from home. Um, like we played Brighton, Burnley, who's not very good, but Brighton, Burnley, Leicester, Liverpool, Man United, and Man City away from home. But at home, we played like Norwich and Watford and Newcastle. We played them at home, I know for sure. Um, I think it's a little bit of that flat track bully type of stuff where we're at our house and we're playing against these low level opposition, we can do something. But I think it's just a little bit of we played better opposition away from home. We're not comfortable away from home. And yeah, I just don't think that in general, we haven't built up enough credibility away from home. And so I think it's a little bit of like a mental thing more than the way that we set up because generally we set up the same way, home and away. But I do feel a little bit less of conviction from us away from home. And I think it's just also a little bit that we've played better teams away from home. I think the teams that we've also beat at home, when we beat them, as much as I don't like this narrative, there is a little bit of that like they were in really bad form as well. Like Aston Villa, we know that if we played them now, we would not beat them 3-1 the way that we did. They were definitely in a bad place under Dean Smith as well as Spurs. We did it. We deserve those wins and it's fine. But the teams that we played at home were mostly either falling apart or really, really lower level opposition. The teams that we played away from home are a little bit better. I think it's a little bit of that. And we'll see if that continues on, throughout the season, but we're a little bit of a flat track bully at the moment. Um, Yo-Yo says Arsenal don't shell at home under Arteta, at least looking at the entire tenure. I just think we're just one of those teams that just likes to be in a comfortable position and we're kind of like a Goldilocks type of team, like has to be a team that views us like we're better or something. We have to be set up perfectly. We have to get goals early, you know, and we kind of have to be at home and the sun has to be shining for us to play well. So, um, Tony says we get kicked away from home. Um, yeah, we need to buck up though. I think sometimes I just look at us, I'm like, we're just too nice. Like we're too nice. And my favorite Arsenal teams have not been nice. When we turned into this nice, technical, really just kind of like nice to watch team, I think we become somewhat of a team that like can get pushed around a little bit. And I don't like it. Mr. Austin says, what's your favorite match this season? Um, I think the Leicester game, even though I don't think that we were amazing in that game, what I do like is that I just thought it was really entertaining. And I like that we went away from home, kept a clean sheet against a team that is supposed to be one of our top 6 rivals types, and we were able to score 2 goals early, put them under pressure. What I didn't like about that game was how we conceded all of the possession, but ultimately I enjoyed that game the most. I enjoyed it more than the Spurs game ultimately because I just don't think they're very good and we just killed them. But I think that Leicester game, especially because we went through it, I didn't think we were going to win it. When we playing Leicester, I thought we were going to struggle. So to win that game, not to feel like we were going to win it, to get the goals early, and then the save from Ramsdale and the good defense and all of that, um, I thought it was a good game. So for me, that was the best game so far of the season. Um, and yeah, hopefully more of that, but we get better. Um, let's see. Uh, Mr. Austin, what do you think went wrong at Brentford? We were away from home. um, I think after watching us against Liverpool, you can maybe say that it may not have just been all the fact that we didn't have our best possible team. We had our best possible team against Liverpool and we still crumbled. Almost best possible team against Manchester United and didn't play well. I think being away from home against a team that was really up for it and they were really physical. We really didn't do well against Brentford. They were really physical and they got those 2 goals and we kind of just crumbled a little bit and we're really sloppy in possession again. And I also think there's like a weird connection with us being away from home, and we just can't pass a 5-yard pass. And I remember at Brentford, it was kind of like we couldn't pass the ball to each other. Against Brighton, we couldn't pass the ball to each other. Burnley can't pass the ball to each other. Liverpool can't pass the ball to each other. Man United can't pass the ball to each other. There's something connected with the way that we are away from home and maybe the lack of confidence and the way that maybe we're set up. I don't know, but we just can't pass the ball to each other. And Brentford was a lot like that. We gave it a pass because it was like, once our team comes, we'll be fine, but I don't think it was that. I really don't think it was that. You guys, I don't know. I don't speak for Jesse Marsh. I don't know what happened to him. He was bad and they sacked him. Um, which player? Okay, just 2 more questions, you guys. TJ says, "What dream your dream and realistic winter transfers?" Um, what's realistic at this point? I mean, I think I would maybe go for somebody like Awar, and I know that we need more of a 6, but I do think that we need a midfielder with a certain type of quality, and I think we don't have that. I know a lot of people are calling for like a Santi type. I don't think Awar is anything close to a Santee, but he can dictate play from the middle of the pitch. He can also play number 10 role. He can play off of the left wing. He can play left center midfield. So I think to give us a little bit more variety in the central of midfield, I think that's somebody that I would go for. I don't know if you could get him, but what I do know is Lyon have an abundance of really, really good midfielders, and I'm not sure if they could turn down 30 million for a war at this moment. So maybe him. Um, and that's pretty much it because I think realistically we could probably just get a midfielder, one like that. I don't think we can get a striker realistically. We have like 4 at the club, and until Lacazette goes, I just don't see. And then the strikers that we're going after are really important to their teams right now. If you look at Vlahovic, Fiorentina is not going to let him go mid-season, I don't think, unless we pay 90 million. Calvert-Lewin, no way Everton sell him to us mid-season. He's also injured. So I think a striker is really out of the realm of possibility unless they're out of favor. And I don't know if an out of favor striker is going to give us anything that's going to really benefit us. So I would say maybe Awar is somebody that I'd go after in January. And Nija, which player do you think can transform our midfield? I mean, some sort of number 6. I would take anybody from I would take I would take Zachariah. I know they get slapped today, but I would take somebody like that. I would take Basuma. I would take Bruno Guimaraes as somebody who can transform our midfield in a different way. I think we need the type of six that can sweep up and potentially play in a single pivot. That's what I think. I think we need somebody that can play alone in that six role so that we can get more attacking eight types go forward. I think that would help a lot. And I think a number six like that can play next to Thomas Partey, but also will help us transform into that 4-3-3 that a lot of people want. So that's kind of what I would go for. It's just hard to name somebody specifically because it's not just about the profile, it's about the level. I think the Suma is the perfect level, but we don't know where he'll be. Obviously, he has some personal issues. I think had he not had personal issues, that is he's the perfect number 6 to get. Premier League proven, right age, all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, there is Zachariah who would be on a free this in the next transfer window, so you could bring him in. But I think we need somebody that could sit by themselves in that midfield and potentially become a single pivot like Rodri, but a little bit more maybe physical for us because we're not going to be able to always dominate possession. So we're going to need somebody that can knock people around a little bit. So Rodri, a la Fabinho, a la that, something of that nature. It's going to cost a lot of money. Whoever that person is going to cost a lot of money unless it ends up being Zachariah. That's why I think we're in for him, is because he's going to be free. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying Nkunku. I think that ship has sailed. I think whenever he leaves RB Leipzig, he's going to go to a team with Champions League. I don't think he comes to Arsenal, but when we were originally linked with him, we should have got him. Tony says, I'm at a point where any good midfielder would be a welcome addition. Yeah, we lack quality in midfield. And it's not, I think Kasambi's not quite there. Thomas Partey's playing like shit. That we just don't have the midfield that we need to compete at the moment. And so any midfielder would be a welcome addition at this point, as long as they're good. Mary Chris says Guimaraes and Zachariah. I would take both of them. I know there is a difference between Bruno Guimaraes and Aouar. I think I really like Bruno Guimaraes, and if you could bring in the two of them, I think you're set in midfield. But some people might like Aouar because he's a little bit more of that attacking option. Bruno is more of like Aouar is more of a Pep player and Bruno Guimaraes is more of a Liverpool player. That's how I kind of look at them, always gonna be technically good enough, but I think Aouar is more Pep and Bruno Guimaraes is more of a workman three-man midfield. Nobody's really a number 10. They're just all really good eights that work really hard. I think that's more what I would go for, but it is what it is. We just need better midfielders. But I have talked enough. We did an hour and a half. I will be in 30 minutes. I will be on Lee Judge's channel doing their preview. So if you guys want to talk more, I'll be on there. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with a friend. Obviously, tomorrow there will be player ratings immediately following the game. Also, we'll be on the football terrace after, hopefully talking about a win. And then on Tuesday, we'll be doing transfer rumors in the early show, and then general Arsenal talk at the end of the day. So, or at the nighttime. So that'll be your two shows for the week through January, or through the day through January. Yeah, and hopefully we're talking about a win, you guys. I really hope so. Enjoyed, you guys. Again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.